Alright guys, I know I made a video already about rewicking a smoke unit, and it was on a H10, a 280 HO scale, but I had somebody request that I do it for a 4500 turbine. This is also the same unit that is in a Yellowstone steam engine, except the Yellowstone has this little piece in there, which is just for contact to the chimney. So basically, I just took that out for the sake of my friend so that he could see the exact same thing that he has in his engine. Very simple. Right here, you have two pads, just a wire here, a wire here. This is for your heating element. You can see these traces right here. One trace goes to here, to this pad, the other trace here. I'll show you what that does in just a minute. These four black heads, those are screw heads. That's what holds this green circuit board on. So first, what you want to do, go ahead and get the right Phillips size on here. So like this. Remember, these screws are really small, guys, so you're going to want to be very careful with them, and when you tighten them back up, make sure you do not tighten them down too hard, just barely snug, because they will strip out, or you will actually crack this. We've done that several times, actually crack this whole, the housing of the reservoir. And make sure you got the right size Phillips, man, because this is so teeny and they'll strip out real fast. Those heads will. Okay. Got that off. Here's the circuit board. On the circuit board, those two wires that go there, they go to these pads. That is actually your heating element right here. Your heating element has these two legs that come through the board, and they're soldered to here, causing contact with here, your positive and your negative. What that does is basically, this is just resistance of, I believe, 16 ohms, and yeah, it just heats up. It's just a coil, basically. So set that aside for now. This is your reservoir. When you get your engine out and you want to go rewick your smoke unit for the first time, you will see some wicking material in here. It's almost like a cotton, like a silky cotton. That is junk. It's from China. It sucks. Take it out. I don't know how good you can see. Right here is actually the fan blade. You see that turning. Say that you notice that your smoke motor is not working anymore. No smoke's coming out. You look down in the stack and you can see a little bit of smoke, but you can't actually, it's not actually getting puffed out. That's because your motor, your fan motor, is bad. So to replace that, you can either find one of these on the internet, or you can call, whatever company your train's from and have them send you a new one. Anyways, you just simply, I don't want to do that with these pliers. They're expensive. Get underneath there with something sharp and small. And just pry it off. Just try not to bend it too bad. Inside of there, here's your drive shaft. There's a screw here and a screw here. It actually holds this motor on. I would take it off and show you, but it's a pain in the butt to get back on, so I'm going to leave it like that. A good way to test this is if you have a DC power supply. What you can do is you can take positive negative on either side, whatever. If you want to just solder some little wires off here or alligator clips or whatever, just get contact there and you'll hear it spin. I don't know if it's good or bad. I would put about 9 volts to it. It won't draw very many amps at all. And yeah, so just don't go crazy on the voltage or you'll burn it up. So go ahead and put this back on. Also, sometimes I've seen people be like, well, my motor's good, but my blade's not spinning. It's because these blades, if you push them down too far, they can get jammed. You know, they'll get completely stuck. See, it catches right there. I can't spin it. It's stuck. See? So, you want to make sure that you're not pushing it, you're not pressing it back down on there too hard. You just pry it back up a little bit and it will release that pressure and it should spin nice and freely. Right there. But you also want to make sure that it's not up too high to where it gets caught on this green circuit board. So you just got to find the right level. You'll find it. Just play with it. And make sure it's spinning freely. Right there, spinning freely, and plenty of clearance. Well, there was. Okay, anyways, now for the wicking part. This is the wick. This is, I want to say it's a form of cotton. What do you think it is? I'm pretty sure you could get really any cotton and put it in there. The stuff that comes in there is, the stuff that comes in there from China is very similar to this. And I'm sure this would work fine. I know a lot of people use this for their electronic cigarette vaporizers. It's cotton bacon. It's a lot different than this. I like this stuff the best. People also use this in their cigarette vaporizers. But yeah, either one will work. Whatever you can find. Order online. You can even get cleaning cotton pads and at like a Rite Aid or Walgreens in a beauty supply section or something like that. So basically, you're just going to want to take this and cut it up. So, see, you got about, I'd say 5/8 of an inch there. So you just want to cut it a little less than that, cut about a 1/2 inch section. Some smoke units are, this way, they're longer, like on the H10s and a couple other steam engines. They have longer smoke units where you cut about 3/4 to an inch off. This one's shorter, so we're just going to go ahead and make a couple cuts, see where we're at. This blade is very dull, so bear with me. Just gonna start stuffing it in there. Once you get past that fringed out part on here, it gets a lot easier. Don't be afraid to really fill this sucker up, man. go. Alright, so we're about, oh, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch from the top, a little more, maybe 3/8 or a quarter. Now what you're going to want to do is on this PCB here, this little green trace board, this heating element, as you can see, comes down. This is actually pretty good. A lot of times this heating element will be all the way down here, and so essentially it will be almost to the bottom of this reservoir. The reason that is bad is because if you look where your fan blade is, the opening for that is right there. It's very shallow. It's not deep. It's not way down here. So if you think about it, as this is the wood, this is the fire, and this is the oxygen. Okay? It takes oxygen to fuel fire and wood. It's a chemical reaction. Same thing here. The closer this fan is to the fire and the wood, or the element in the wick, the more it's going to feed it, the more production you're going to get. So you want to make sure that this is nice and raised up. I'm actually going to move it a little closer, maybe just on this side, because we want it as close to right there as possible. So as close to this as possible without actually touching it. And you definitely don't want this to touch any of the plastic. It'll burn it, it'll melt it a little bit, and it'll just stink, and it'll smoke nice, it'll look awesome, but it'll stink. Landlord will kick you out, so try to stay away from that. So you can kind of sit there and kind of guess where you're at. Like right now, I feel a little bit of pressure, not a lot. You want to pack this real full, so one trick is to take some of your smoke fluid. We got a 30 ml dripper right here of it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The only reason I'm gonna put 6 drops in now and 6 drops in later is because this is the first time wicking it. So it needs just a little bit of extra for that. And also what that does is it allows me to now take it and pack it down even further. You remember we were about an 1/8 inch away from the top before I did that. Now we've got an additional 1/4 inch, so we're about 3/8 of an inch away from the top there. So we're going to come back to the wick. I don't like scraggly. Just feel like it gets in the way. And this time you're going to want to pack it, and you're going to want to really check it just about, every time you put more in there. Every engine is different. Some engines, you'll just want this real tight in there. You got to play with it. This engine, not so much. You want it nice and packed in the whole reservoir. And once you get towards the heating element, you want it kind of fluffy and aerated. So this is what I do. Watch closely. I'm going to take my soldering iron, get it warmed up a little bit here for a second. And this soldering iron's way too big, by the way. Don't use this because it's really powerful. Okay. Alright, so now that my soldering iron's warmed up, I had to go get a new one because that one was fried up, so. Okay. We're going to want to heat these pads up. You're just going to want to put some pressure on it. Let it go. See how that raised that leg up? Drew the element closer to the circuit board. That. So, it's pretty even on both sides now, but we can go a little further up. What we have is, so you basically just kind of want to look in there, push down on it, see where it leaves an indent. So I can see where it's leaving an indent. It's a pretty nice spot. You know, it doesn't have to be to the exact, you know, 1/10 of a millimeter, whatever. That's close enough. That's good. We're about 3/16 of an inch off the PCB with the heating element. We're good here. What you want to do is, this is the part I was telling you about. Some of them, you want the heating element smashed into the wick. Some of them, you just kind of want it, the wick fluffed around it. The reason you want to pack so much wick in there is because that wick will hold more juice. Your juice will last longer. You won't have to refill as often. Hence the word reservoir. That's why I pack a lot of wick in there. So as it burns up from the top and evaporates, it's pulling in the juice from the bottom. So, you know, common sense, the more wick that's wet, the longer it's going to be able to feed this top wick and supply the heating element with fluid. I'm just going to make this neat. Take a little bit of this out because it's a little bit too long and that just bothers me a little bit. So we'll just cut a little bit more and put it in there. I don't like that crap hanging out. Make it look like a Chinese person did it or something. Alright. So, we're going to make another cut. I like Chinese people, okay? But when you see things like I do all the time, because I work with electronics every day, and so many of them come in, and half the circuit boards that come in are already fried, it just sucks. It sucks, man. It's like, why don't they just take their time and do high quality? It's never gonna happen. It's sad. It's all about making the dough. I just don't see how companies are still surviving over there. It's just crap that they make. It's not the people's fault. It's money. It's the love of money. Anyways, enough crying. So now I just put a nice new fluffy top layer on. You see that? I'm not going to smash it down. I'm just going to kind of leave a little bitty divot right there for that element to sit in. Because I still want the element to push against it, I just don't want it to be smashed. Right? So, here we go. Element sits in there. No, see, that's a little too tight. I gotta smash it down. I don't want to do that. I want it fluffed. I'm gonna take a little bit out. And you always want to make sure that you don't pack this right here. See, I did. You don't want to put wick in and cover up this hole that the air comes out of from the fan. You want to leave that wide open. So, just a little bit. Spread this out just a little bit. I think I got enough out. Well, looks like I'm taking more out. Alright, let's check this again. Okay, I can feel it hitting right there. Yeah, that's about perfect. That's how I like it. Okay. Oh.
You fucked it.
Let's go ahead and Put some back in there. Make sure it is nice and fluffy. Do not pack that top layer down, or it is going to smoke like shit. Leave that gateway open there. Okay, do not put the next 6 drops on here yet, because if you do, when you put your heating element in, it's just going to pack it all down. You want to wait till you get this on, and then you can put the drops in. We're going to go ahead. It hits right there. That's perfect. It hits a 16th before it goes on. Remember, a big boy or a Yellowstone or a Challenger or a Dreyfuss or Mikado, whatever you're working on, they're all different. They all got their little things as far as that goes. So just be aware. You're going to have to play around with them. But most commonly, I do find that the harder packed, I mean, not crazy, but you know, more packed ones, most steams do better off of the heavily packed, hard packed ones. Oh man, these screws are just so fragile. There we go. No, just kidding. I'll be editing this shit out.
Oh shit. Get.
Yeah, I wish I had that channel changer that they have in Click and just fast forward through parts of my life
Yeah.
where I feel like a fuck.
And you can't go back.
So every time I'm a fuck, I can just skip it.
Mm-hmm.
Next thing I'll know, I'll be having a good day, and then I'll just end up being a fuck for a couple months, and I'll lose my job, and I won't have a family anymore. Okay, so now if you look down in there, you can almost kind of see the smoke wick. I don't know if you guys can see it. It's really hard to see, but almost see the wick kind of coming up around the element. That's why I wanted it fluffed and not packed. Now I'm going to take my smoke fluid, and I'm going to put about 4 to 5 drops in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Give it a little blow to get that air bubble out. Wipe that crap off. It's very oily. And that should be good. Sometimes if those elements are down real low, you're going to want to take some dikes, clip off.
Lesbian.
Yep, those legs. Whatever. There you go. You're ready to go. That's basically all you need to know to wick any smoke unit. Just play with them, play around with them, have fun. Be careful. Soldering irons are hot. If you burn yourself, it's not my fault. Smoke fluid, basically mineral oil, watered down. I like to take a little bit of VG or vegetable glycerin. You can buy it online or at like Family Farm and Home or things like that, farm supply stores. And you probably just want to put, maybe 5 or 10% of this bottle you want to be VG, because you still want it real runny and light, but this VG will produce massive clouds if you want it to really, really smoke. Hell, even try putting just some straight VG in your smoke unit. It's not going to hurt it. I just want to do it all the time. It'll gunk it up. Yeah, it's pretty cool stuff. So, alright guys, thanks for watching. Have fun wicking and enjoy your locomotives.